Hello, welcome into my workshop and welcome to the show Creations of Clay. My name is Louis Palladini, and today I'd like to make an animal that everyone is familiar with. I want to show you how to make this out of clay. I want to show you how to make an Atlantic bottlenose dolphin. And this one here, I have made dolphins in the past, but this one here I wanted to make sure I copied a picture and I made sure I had all the proportions correct and everything. And I just want to show you how to do that from start to finish. And what I'm going to do is show you the types of clay that you can use. There's an oil-based clay, such as this. This is the one I used to use all the time as a kid. And what's great about this is once you finish making something, and if you get bored with it, you just make something else, roll it up into a ball, and make a new item. There's also an air-hardening clay, such as this, which hardens like in a couple of hours or overnight. And what I like about this is once you sculpt it, then you can, this one you can actually paint. My preference for the clay is a clay called Super Sculpting. It can be baked in the oven about 275 degrees for about 15 or 20 minutes. And what's great about this is it doesn't actually harden until you actually fire it in the regular home oven. And then I'll show you the size balls of clay we're going to be using today. What I did is I'm going to show you some of the things we're going to be using today. We're going to be using tin foil, and I'll show you how we're going to be using that. I do have some small balls of clay here, and these are what are going to be used for the fins and the flippers and things right here. I'll just kind of put that to the side. And then what we're also going to be doing is I am going to be making a base. I've started to do it partially, and you roll it up into a ball, make it look like a little island, and then we're going to be putting clay over it. And then I have these other clay balls which I'll be covering the piece with. But I'll show you, the first thing that we want to do is I want to show you how I am going to do how we're going to take this. You can get this like in the supermarket or you know, someplace like that. And what I'm going to do is I want to make the form for the dolphin. So you just take and crinkle this up like this. And what I do is I look at my previous model that I did, and I say, okay, how can I make that look just like? So what I do is I try to make this in the shape of the dolphin's body. See how I'm just kind of crinkling it up for all sides? And I'll look at that, and I'll say, okay, I need to add a little more to the front. Because what this does is it helps take it and I crinkle that up. See how I'm putting that on there like that? And so what I need to do is kind of extend that out a little more here in the front. So I'm taking that, crinkling it up. See how I did that? Just wrap it around there. This gives us at least something to start with. And what I like to do, once I get this, I'm going to start covering this with clay. So I have these clay balls here. We have the shape that we want here. And then I'm going to take this, and what you want to do is take the clay and just cover this. So see how I'm doing that? You want to take that and put it like that. And what you want to do is you want to take this and cover the entire thing. See how I'm doing that? I'm just showing you an example of it. So you're going to cover it to the point that you do this right here. So what you want to do is I would cover that up. Now I want to shape this into the shape of the dolphin right here. So I look at that, and I'm going to take and make the shape of the dolphin. I want to make sure we got the right size. Yep. What I'm going to do is add a little more clay to the front of the head here. See that? Because we got to make it a little bit bigger. So we're using the additive technique. We're adding clay. And I want to see that. And what I'm doing is adding to the snout area here. This is the beak or the snout of the bottlenose dolphin. And now what I want to do is I want to see that it's almost there. Let's see that we got so this is the shape. See the shape? I want to make this streamlined because a dolphin in the water is streamlined. So the water, when it goes, it can go right past them like that. So, and this is going to be the tail section. And this section up here that I'm hitting right now, that's going to be where the head's going to be. So now I want to see, make sure I'm getting the right size. So what I'm doing right now is I'm making the snout right now. And what I want to do is I want to smooth this out now too, because I want to make the skin somewhat smoother. We're going to do that. So what I'm doing is I'm taking and smoothing that out. Like that, look at that. Just smooth that over. Get rid of any of the, want to make sure. So I'm taking my thumb, and that's what I'm doing, is I'm smoothing it over. See that? I can even take my finger here. See how I'm taking and smoothing that over? I want it to be nice and smooth. Let's see. See that? And as you can see, I'm developing the snout or the beak right here. And I just want to make sure that it's approximately where it should be. Yeah, it is. So now we have the shape of the dolphin. But the next thing that I want to do is we want to make the base. And the base is, this is the base right here. You can see I made this. And then I'm going to put clay around the base so I can put the dolphin on top of it. So I'm going to take, and I'll show you, the thing to do, you want to crinkle this up, right? That's how you would make the shape of the base, like that. See how I just did that? Crinkled it up. Make that kind of sloping down on both sides like that. And I'll show you, I started this last night. So I started to cover that with clay. So what we want to do is I'm going to take these balls of clay and we're going to cover it. So what we do is I take these balls of clay and I flatten them out like a pancake. Then I just put them over like this. Just want to make sure I got that. And now you can see that we've covered this entire base. See how we did that? And it's just tinfoil under there. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to make it create like the water-like effect. So I'm going to take these clay balls, put them back here. We don't need those right now. And I'm going to take this and just kind of tap this like this. See that? I'm just Just tapping that like that. We're going to go all around. Because the tin foil, it gives it a really nice effect when you crinkle it up like a ball and just kind of press it into there. It creates a really nice texture. And so you go around like that, around the entire base. But now what I also want to do too is kind of scrape it along. Scrape it along like that. Because we want to make it look like water. Because when we finish the sculpture, we're going to be painting it to look like a water base. So I'm just going to scrape that a little bit to do that. Go around, just, and then we're going to, see that? Make it look really nice. Just scrape it like that. And see how we did that? See how we created a really nice texture? I'll rotate that for you. So the next thing that we want to do is I want to look and see. We need to add some flippers and the tail to it. So I've got these pieces of clay. I'm going to take that, and the next thing that we want to do on this dolphin here, right, is make the tail. So I want to make these are called tail flukes, and that's what propels the dolphin through the water. And what we want to do is make those. So I'm going to make one for each side, and I'll show you how we're going to attach that. So we want to make that shape. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this ball of clay here, and you flatten it out like this, flatten from the side. See, I'm flattening it with my fingers and with my thumb. But then it's almost a triangular shape that you're creating. So see this? You just take this and make that into almost like a triangular shape. I'll try to see that. And what I'm going to do is put it up here, make sure it looks similar to what I've done. Okay, so what we want to do is I want to make a second one of these. So I'm going to take that, like I said, flatten this out like this. You flatten from this side, but then you take between your finger and your thumb, and you want to create the shape of that fluke. So go like this, and then see how nice that looks? So what we're going to do is I want to make sure they're the same size. This one needs to be made a little bit bigger. Let me see. I want to make sure that you want to make sure they're approximately the same size. I might just take a little bit of clay off here to make it make sure this is the same size as that one. Sometimes you can subtract clay, and that's what I just did. I took some clay off there. So the next thing that we want to do is, I'll compare these again. Now I want to compare them to what I have here. See that? We came over here, and I want to compare it to the tail flukes that I did in my previous model. So now I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to add these to the dolphin. See this? I'm going to attach those to this part of the tail. Very simple. And then what I'll do is I'll do this on the other side. And then I can compare it to to that. So I want to, and I'm going to take my sculpting tool, and I want to make sure that this is firmly attached. So I'm going to take the sculpting tool here and just kind of make sure the clay goes over like that. And I want to do that on both sides. Make sure it's attached. And then I want to smooth it over a little bit too also. But I also want to do it on the other side too, because I want to make sure that it's definitely firmly attached there. So you see, that's looking really nice. And now I just want to kind of, I'm going to pinch this a little bit near the tail. I'm getting that. Make sure I go all around, make sure that's firmly attached, like I said. Now I want to make sure that it isn't too big, so I'm just going to make sure, push that in a little bit. And now what I want to do is there's usually, I'll get another tool for this though. There's a little area right here. You create like a little V. See that? So we're going to come in like that. So we make that like a little V. See how nice that looks? Pretty cool. Now, we're going to make, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a set of flippers. So what I'm going to do, I'll put that out of the way so we can, for the time being. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to make these flippers right here. See the flippers on the side right here? I'm going to make those and show you how to make those. So, and then there's another, there's one on this side. They're almost like the arms of the dolphin. So we're going to take that, and we're going to take this same technique, flatten out, like that. But then we want to make the shape of the flipper. And the shape of the flipper is going to be this way. I'm going to show you. And then, oops, a little slippery there. So what I want to do is see that up near the top? Kind of bring it in a little bit like that, kind of bring it to a little point. We want to do that. And you want to make that shape right there. What I'm going to do is compare it to what I've done here. It's about the same size. I'm just going to take a little bit of clay off because it looks like it's a little too big. So I'm going to do the subtractive technique, take a little bit of that clay off. And now, you see, yeah, close enough. So we got that. See that shape that I made? Just kind of work your fingers around your thumb, and you do that. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other one. Flatten out. You flatten like that, and then you take your finger and your thumb, and you're creating that shape again. And now what I want to do is compare it to my previous one. They're about the same size. See that? And that's what I want. We got that. Okay, so now that we've got that done, I also want to make, there's like a dorsal fin on the top. I want to do this right, see this fin right here? The dorsal fin? I want to show you how to make that. So what we're going to do is I want to take this, flatten it out, and then you're going to make a triangular shape, something like this. See this? So flatten out like this, and then come back in and do this. And I want to see, what I'm trying to do is also flatten this out a little bit here on the bottom, because it's going to go right in the back in a minute, but I want to make sure that it's the right size. So what I'm going to do is compare it to this. See that? It's approximately the right size. You see that? Just gonna see how I did that? Now we can start adding these to the dolphin. So I want to go compare this to that, and it looks like it approximately should be right here. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you. See, we're going to push down, and I'm going to take and work that in like that. Taking my finger, and I'm pushing the clay down from the actual like dorsal fin and into the back of the dolphin. I want to make sure that that's nice and firm. And then just smooth that over so it doesn't look like it was a separate piece of clay anymore. See how nice that looks? Very simple, very quick. Now I want to compare this and see, I want to make sure that I might have to lengthen out the head a little bit. So I'm going to take some clay here and add a little more to the head. See this? I'm putting this on here. And just kind of work that in. Just like that. And I want to compare it now. Let's see. Just going to add a little bit more clay. I'll add a little more to the beak here. See what I did when I made this one? I was checking against a picture that I had on my computer, and I checked all the proportions to make sure they were correct. So that's why I'm referring back to that, because the proportions were all correct based on the picture that I used. And I want to make sure the proportions are correct on this one here. Add a little more to the head. So I'm just going to show you, I just added a little more to the front. So that's looking a lot better now. See that? See how that looks? Really coming along nicely. The next thing that I want to do is I want to attach the two flippers that I've been making. So I do have some wire here. So what I want to do is I want to clip a little bit of this wire off. I'll show you. Just some small pieces. This will ensure that the flippers will stay attached to the body. I just clipped a piece off. It's small. I'm putting it between my fingers here. It's kind of, might be a little hard to see, but that's what I'm going to insert into the flipper. And I'm going to take two of those. So I'm going to put that down here. And so now what I want to do is take this piece of wire here, and I want to insert it into the flipper like this. See that? And I want to do the same on the other one. So I put that in there. And what I want to do now, in order to attach this, so I have to look and see that there. So approximately, I'm going to see that? I'm going to take that wire, push it in there, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So let's see, I want to make sure I get the right location. You just push that in like that. Let's see, wait a minute, I just want to. So now, what I want to do is I want to make sure this is firmly attached. So I'm going to take my little sculpting tool and kind of work the clay, make sure that they're attached now. So you're going to go like that. See what I'm doing? And then we're going to do the same on the other side. And then we'll come in from this side. And we'll do the exact same thing. And then I got that little piece of wire there, but what I want to do is push that a little deeper into the flipper so I can't see it. And then I'm going to do this right here. See how this is really coming along nicely? It's really cool. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm just going to smooth out the head a little more. Just want to take my thumb and kind of go over it a little bit. The next thing that I want to do is now we want to work on making the mouth area and the eyes. So I'm looking at this right now. So what I'm going to do is take this instrument here, or this tool, and just kind of make the mouth like that. Yep. I'll do the same to the other side. So I'm going to take this. I want to make sure I got the make sure it's the same length on the side. See that? Oh, See how I did that? I'll just rotate it around so you can see it. And now what I want to do is I want to take my tool here. I mean, look at what I did here. Okay. So I'm going to take and put the eye right here. No, that was a little too high. So I'm going to do a little lower. So I'm going to take this tool and push that in there like that. And then I'm going to want to make sure it's the same. I want to see how I'm doing that. And then I'm going to put the blowhole up here. Create that. So what I want to do is make sure that I have the same proportions for the eyes. Yep, I do. They're good now. So the next thing that we want to do on this is I want to just maybe widen these a little bit. I actually want to take a small piece of clay and we're going to make, it's very small. What I'm doing is take a little piece of clay and I'm making it into a very round ball. I'll try to see if I can see that there in my hand. I know it's very tiny. But what we're going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to put it in that hole in a second. But what I want to do is make sure I made it deep enough. And I want to make sure I made this one deep enough. So now what I'm going to do is take this little piece of clay and I'm going to put it right in there. Doesn't seem like I made it. I might have to take, let's see, I might have to make that hole a little bigger. So sometimes you need to experiment with things. So I'm making another one. And I think it's going to work this time a little better. So I take this, put that in there like that. It seems the piece of clay that I have appears to be too big. So what I'm going to do is make the eyeball a little smaller. Subtract off some of the clay. And I'm going to put that in there like that. And then I'm going to see if this one's going to fit. It looks like I need to subtract off a little bit of the clay. I'm working at a very small scale now. I know so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that little hole there. So now what I want to do is we're going to take a very, very small piece of clay and I'm going to make the eyelids. So I'll show you how big we're talking about. It's going to be small. I'll try to see that. Maybe. I'm going to see if you can see that little piece of clay. It's very, very small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and create the eye. I'm going to put that right over this right here. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. See, I'm just going around the eye a little bit. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take some piece of clay and we're going to do the bottom part of that eyelid. It's small, but You'll see it, it'll make a difference. It'll make the eye look more realistic. So I'm going to rotate that in my hand a little bit. And you take and put that there like that. See that? And then we're going to do the same to the other side. And I'll put that there. You know, but that will create the eye. You know, I might have to tweak it a little bit later, but that's what we'll do for the time being. And then you have the blowhole that we made up here. So now, yeah, that wasn't firmly attached. So sometimes you have to reattach it. And I'll just work the clay a little harder this time. So now that we've done that, there's also another thing that I want to do. And I want to take, and I want to scratch them up a little bit on the sides. See, just rough them up a little bit. Look, make them look a little more realistic. Make them look like he's been living in the wild a little bit. And we'll do the same to the other side. Excuse me. Allergy season's here. So I'm just, and then do that. So the next thing that we want to do, now that we've done that, is I have a piece of wire here. And what I'm going to do is straighten this out a little bit. Let's see if it'll go in here. And so I'm trying to make this, flatten it out a little more. Let's see if I can just do this. Because this is going to make, I just want to make sure that this is going to be firmly attached. Let's see if it will go any deeper. Well, it might not. So then you got to improvise a little bit. So I think if I do this, that might work a little better. Yep. So now what I want to do, so I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to push that into the dolphin on the bottom. Because what I want to do is I want to make sure that, and then what I also want to do, see how I put that in there like that? I want to come back in with some clay and cover that over. So using the additive technique, I want to cover that over. We've done that. So now what we're going to do is, see, I'm going to attach these two together. And then I'm going to push them together like that. And then what I also want to do is take some clay and go in from the sides like this. Roll it between my fingers. See this? And I want to make sure that this is firmly attached. So I'm going to push that in there like that. But then I'm also going to do it from the other side. So I roll that between my fingers like that. And now I'm going to push that in there. Because what I want to do is ensure that the dolphin is attached to the base so they don't come apart. And the wire will help me ensure that. And we can come back in. Just kind of dab that a little bit with the tin foil. So I want to make that, because when we paint that, I want to make that look like water. So as you can see, that's what the dolphin, we've pretty much finished it. I want to show you what the one will look like once it's fired. This is the one that I had fired in the oven. As you can see, like the blowhole that I did, you can see the eyes. See the really nice job in the eyes? There's a lot of little detail there. I'll just let that we can get a little close up there. I did the eyelid in the top and the bottom. You can see how we did the mouth. You can see how we did the flippers and how I attached them. You can see how we attached the base to the dolphin. And I'll just kind of rotate that around. I want to see you to see it from all angles. So see, that's what it looks like from the top. See how it thins out here in the tail? And that enables him to swim through the water pretty quick. I think they can do anywhere from 20 to 30 miles under the water, if I remember correctly. But see that? And then that'll give you an idea of what it looks like from the bottom. And I do want to thank you for coming to the show Creations of Clay today. And I do look forward to seeing you again next week. Goodbye for now. Thank you.